We're going to solve a linear equation with several occurrences of the variable. We're going to look at problem type 2. Okay, so anytime you have an equation with fractions in it, you can solve it by looking at the common denominator, finding the common denominator, and multiplying both sides of the equation by that common denominator, and that will eliminate the variables in your equation, and you can solve it from there. And that usually makes it a lot easier to solve, and that's one rule to remember instead of a bunch of different rules and shortcuts, okay? So whenever you have an equation with fractions in it, you can multiply both sides by the common denominator. So we have denominators of 3, 4, and 3 here. This one has a denominator of 1, so we don't need to worry about that. So the common denominator of 3 and 4, that's basically the least common multiple of 3 and 4. So a lot of people recognize that at this point is 12, but if you don't, you can always start listing the multiples of each of these numbers. Okay. I sometimes just start with the bigger number and list its multiples, so in this case it would have been 4, if you don't see it. Okay, and then I just stop once I get to a number that I can divide by the other number I'm looking for. So in this case, I can divide 12 by 3, and I know it's a multiple 4. So 12 is going to be my lowest common denominator. So what I'm going to do is multiply both sides of the equation by 12. Now remember, the reason why this works is because it's an equation. You cannot do this with things that are not in equations. We're using our equation rule. If you do something to one side of an equation, you have to do the same thing to the other side to keep it equal, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and distribute this value to each term inside of your parentheses here. So this will be 12, I'm going to write it as 12 over 1 times 2 over 3 times w minus 12 over 1 times 5/4. Okay, that's going to be equal to, and then we'll want to do the same thing to the other side. We'll want to distribute this 12 into both terms inside of the parentheses here. So I'm going to write that as 12 over 1 times a negative 7/3 w plus 12 over 1 times 7 over 1. We probably don't need those ones on this last set, so we'll just kind of, they're there for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and simplify each of these terms. So in this term, I can simplify the 3 and the 12. I can divide them both by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So this simplifies down to that 4 and the 1. And we can do the same thing for our next set of terms here. Can divide both of these by 4. That gives me 1 and 3. Go over here to this next set of terms multiplied together here, and the 3 and the 12, that simplifies to 1 and 4. And then these just stay. So let's go ahead and multiply these together. That's going to give me 4 times 2w, right? Because everything in the denominator is a 1, so I don't really need it anymore. 8w minus 3 times 5 is 15 equals 4 times a negative 7w, so that's a negative 28w, plus 12 times 7, and that's going to give me 84. Okay, now you can see it looks like a lot easier equation to solve. It looks a little scary with those fractions in it, but remember, if you remember this rule, it makes this so much easier. Okay, one of the mistakes I see people make when they're doing this is that they start simplifying and they'd forget to distribute, and so they'll simplify this 12 and the 3 here and make that 4, and you need to distribute before you try to simplify. Okay, so make sure you do that. Okay, so once you have this problem, then I'm going to go ahead and solve this. I'm going to add 28w to both sides so that I get w's on the left side of the equation. Okay, and so that's going to give us 36w minus 15 equals 84. Now, that I've got just w's on the left side. I want to get the numbers just on the right side, the numbers that don't have variables. So I want to get rid of this minus 15. So I'm going to add 15 to both sides. Okay, so that's going to give us a 36w. These cancel out, right? So it leaves us with just 36w on the left. And let's see, that gives us 99. Okay, so now we're going to divide both sides by 36. Okay, so now we can see that we're going to have w equals 99 over 36. Let's see, we can probably simplify that a little bit. We can divide both of those by, looks like at least 3. So let's see, we divide this by 3 and that'll give us 33. We divide this by 3 and that gives us 12. Looks like I can still divide them by 3 one more time. I probably could have divided them by 9, but I'm just going through this one step at a time. 11, and I divide this by 3, and that would give me a 4. So my answer is 11 fourths. So W equals 11 fourths. Okay. Now you could always go back through here and check it. Replace the W here with 11 fourths. Okay. And see if the left side equals the right side. So you can always double check your equations. Let me give you one more example.